So as we move on, remember that we just completed the direct materials budget as part of our sales and production budget. So now we're going to wrap up the remaining manufacturing cost budget. Those include direct labor and manufacturing overhead. So when we think about direct labor, we're talking about, again, the required production units. And those were 700. And now all we're thinking is, okay, how long do we need to apply the direct labor hours to? So we've got 25 hours to make one unit. So I'm going to key that in, meaning that I need a total of 17,500 man hours to help make all of the boats. And then wages, benefits, taxes, what's the cost per hour? So that's listed as 20. So then we just take that 20 times the 17,500. So our direct labor costs that we need to budget are 350,000. Keep in mind the other thing that's helpful with this is now we know exactly how many man hours we need, which means how much we need in labor. So 17,500 divided by, if we have people working 40 hours a week, that's how much we need in hours converted into how many people we need. So that helps the Human Resources Department as part of the budgeting process as well. And then finally, manufacturing overhead. So at this point, we've spent a lot of time on manufacturing overhead. So we're just really looking at the budget. So we're not going to have to recalculate manufacturing overhead applied or anything like that. We're just taking into account the totals that we already know. So it's based off of machine hours used. It's going to take us 100 machine hours per boat, and the cost is $8 an hour. So again, what's the required production units? 700. Machine hours per unit is 100. Total required machine hours, I'm simply going to multiply those together. And the machine cost per hour, that is our $8 listed above. And total manufacturing overhead is 8 times 70,000 hours. So that completes our manufacturing production budget. So what we also have to keep in mind is that we have all of those product costs that we just listed above, but we also have period cost. And so down here, you're going to see some fixed expenses that are being lumped into selling and administrative, or what we're calling our period cost, or those non-product costs. So for this, it simply is just a matter of being aware that these exist. And so we're just going to copy each one of these down. Okay. And so that way, when I add them up, my total selling and administrative or period and non-period costs are 530. And if you look at these formulas, you'll note that I just made them equal the cells above. Okay, so now keep in mind that we're going to walk through this, but as part of your project, you're going to be completing the actual 2022 income statement. We're just doing the budget right now. You're going to be filling in the actual income statement based on actual information. Okay, so that's the first part of your true project. So keep that in mind as we work through this. Okay, so a couple of things. First of all, we're looking for the income statement. Reminder that the income statement is all of our revenues minus all of our expenses. So when we look at these blanks to fill in, sales, we've already calculated that. Our sales budget is way up here. Now remember, our sales budget is based off of 675 units. We did our production budget based on 700, but we're only planning to sell 675. So that's really important to keep in mind. So there's our sales. Now to calculate cost of goods sold, we've got a schedule down here that we need to use because we need a per unit or per boat number to be able to calculate cost of goods sold. Now, cost of goods sold is all of our product cost for the boats, okay? Now, keep in mind, we are using 675 units that we expect to sell, okay? This is not the 700. We only use the 700 for the production budget. So quickly here, the cost per unit, where are we going to grab those? And actually, I'm going to do this little thing again where I put in my split. And I'm going to click on the top part and I'm going to scroll way up here to the top. I'm going to use this information here. Okay. So just trying to arrange this just a little bit. All right. So plastic parts, it takes 400 pounds per unit. The cost is $2 a pound. And then I take my $2 times my 400, and my cost is $800 in plastic parts. Now, moving on to metal parts, here's 500 at a unit cost of 50 cents a pound. And then our paint and stickers is 10. And our unit cost is $5. So what I can do is actually this cool little trick in Excel. If I highlight this, this is a formula. I want to do the same formula all the way down to here. So it automatically calculated my pounds times unit cost for each of these. Okay. Now this we have to fill in. So it's blank because it's 0 right now. So let's go down here and find in the top part of our section, the labor and the overhead. So first of all, direct labor is 25 hours and our cost is $20 an hour. Down here, got a quantity of 100 hours being applied to manufacturing overhead and $8. So now I have all of my totals. So to make one boat, here's all my, this is really my total manufacturing costs. Okay. So now if I sum these up, I can do this a couple of ways. I can click this and I can do my sum, click OK. And then I want to click this and it's going to help me find all of my items that I want to add up. And I want to add up all of these. I click OK. That's one way to do a sum. I also just do a sum like this because I use it all the time. Sum, then I highlight these and I don't even have to put my closed parenthesis because if I just hit enter, it's going to add that up for me. Okay. And that is our cost of goods sold budget. So I'm going to remove my split. Okay. Now with that being said, I come up here. I need to take 675 units. I'm going to grab that from way up here though, because remember I want Excel to work for me. And I'm going to do my asterisk, and I'm going to take that times my 2,400 because in my budget, I'm assuming I'm selling 675. So my gross profit then is sales minus cost of goods sold. Don't forget your selling and administrative expenses. And those are up here at 530. Now I've got a subtotal called income from operations. That's my gross profit minus my selling and administrative expenses. And so from our normal day-to-day operations of selling these boats, then I have earned $212,500 from my income from operations. But there are a couple of things left on the income statement that I just wanted to visit with you all. So they borrowed some money from the bank 5 years ago. They have interest expense, $10,000 for the year. So if I fill that in, now my income from operations minus my interest expense is $202,500. And this is what I'm going to calculate my tax on. So we anticipate a 21% tax rate. So if I take that times 0.21, the taxes on my income I've generated is $42,525. Subtract that and I get my final bottom all-in net income. Now, one thing I want to remind you, keep this section in mind. Oops, see, I didn't mean to lose it on us. Here it is. Keep this section in mind when you are completing your 2023 budget and your 2022 income statement, because you're going to be making a comparison between those and kind of talking about this whole idea of budget versus actual. So I'm going to stop the second video that really kind of talks about the budget. In my last video, we'll go over what's on the standard costs, and we're going to start talking about variance just a little bit.